just know that your question might be on this recording. So once again, starting this recording off, I'm Mr. Perkins, and we're going to go over Adobe Rush today. So the first thing you probably want to do the first time you boot up Rush, after you signed up for your Adobe ID, which we all did in class, I believe about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, if you press the Alt key on the keyboard and then click the Adobe Rush icon, it'll ask you if you want to reset your preferences. The first time you boot it up on a machine, you probably want to click OK on that, just to make sure that there's no trashy preferences in there that might cause something to go amiss. It also makes the software run smoother. The software will take a little while to boot up the first time, especially on some of the older computers. It came up pretty quick on this one. But, sweet, Willie and Colin, I'll mark y'all present. When you first start it up, you'll be greeted with this. It'll say, hey, your name, in this case, Galen. Welcome to Premiere Rush, the new way to create and share online videos anywhere. I'm going to go through the tutorial for this, just to kind of give you a view on that. In the future, if you don't want to go through the tutorial, there is actually a thing here in the blue box that says skip tour. But for the purposes of this, I'm going to go ahead and use some of the sample media that they've included. And I think I'm just going to do the BRoll only portion, just because a lot of your projects are going to be BRoll related, for at least for the first part of the class. So I will call this, let's call this BRoll montage. If I can type correctly. And we'll click next. I'll select all the media that I have here that is BRoll. In the future, when you're editing, if you're not using the sample media, there is a navigation bar over here on the left-hand side that lets you decide where you want to pull your media from. The typical way you want to do this is move the media from the camera or the smartphone that you're using to the external hard drive on your computer. If you don't have an external hard drive, you can place it in the computer, but know that it might get deleted at some point. But all the computers here in the lab anyway should have an external hard drive. If you're an online student, probably not. So I'm going to select the BRoll clips that don't have people in them talking. So sporting the boat, boat cruising, boat view, people on a boat, snorkeling, swimming, and water.
I wouldn't use snorkeling. It's got weird audio on its track.
Snorkeling has weird audio on its track, so.
Yeah, it's like a voice clip.
Okay. So we'll avoid using that. So 7 clips. For your BRoll montage thing, you're using between 6 and 8. So 7's a good number for this example. So we'll create. And what it does is the order that I click those in, it's actually going to put it into a timeline to, I guess, basically start the project off. So you see we've got here, if we just scroll through it by grabbing the playhead, we've got our BRoll in here, different shots. We've got some drone footage in here, several drone footage clips. Okay, just keeping with the tutorial, these prompts will tell you what to do. You can press play to play the clip. If you want to split the clip, you would just move the playhead to where you want to clip it. Click the scissors to cut the clip in half. I am not going to do that, actually. And to rearrange clips, you would just drag stuff around. If you wanted stuff to be in a higher priority, you would drag it up in the timeline. If you want it to be to the left or right of another clip, you would just drag it to the left or right of the other clip. To trim a clip or to shorten it, you would just grab the edge and pull it in. And over here, it kind of goes through other different things that you can do. So I'm going to actually skip that part for right now and kind of go to what we're looking for the BRoll montage. So first off, we know that we want our montage to be at least or exactly 1 minute. So come to 1 minute of the playhead, and everything left of here needs to be trimmed out. So I can either expand these up if I need to. So right there at 1 minute. I can either expand these or shift them around as needed. But it's as simple as if I find a clip that I want to use in a certain position, I can bring it to the front, and let's go ahead and play that real quick. And I doubt we'll get sound with that, particularly because this one doesn't have any sound. Let's try this one. There's a little bit of sound coming through on that. So, different things that we can do to this. We can actually, if we don't want to have any sound at all, we can modify that by double-clicking the clip, coming over here to the audio icon, which is the waveforms, and if you hover over these, they show you what they do. So we click audio, and I can mute it. So now there won't be any audio coming out of this clip if I play it back. Also, the space bar will allow you to play stuff. Other things that we can do to it, if we want to add in transitions between clips, that's what this 2 triangles or 4 triangles, depending on how you look at it, is. There's only 3 basic transitions in here, but this is really all you will need for your kind of stuff. We are going to be using for the B-roll montage a cross dissolve. So to drag a transition in, you just drag it to the front of the clip that you want to add the transition in at, and now when it plays through, it cross dissolves into the next clip. Any questions so far? No, kind of blazing through this. Okay, so let's go ahead and edit this up real quick. So we wanted to start off in black, so we'll put a cross dissolve at the beginning. Kind of get a nice open there. And go ahead and drag a cross dissolve between each set of clips. And that was simple enough. So now we start in black and fade up to this. We have a cross dissolve between each one of our clips. And it fades out to black at the end. So we also want to put in, for the B-roll montage, we want to put in a lower third graphic that says videography by. So you can identify yourself as the one that shot this footage. So the way you would do that is come up here to the titles area. It looks like a T. Basically, let me just run through each one of these areas real quick. So T up here at the top is titles. Then we have transitions. Then we have color, which will enable us to do color modification. I can mess with that in a little bit and show you that. Audio, that allows us to change audio for the clip, and crop and rotate, which will allow us to resize the video if needed. So let's say in this case, let's say that we wanted to kind of crop some of this out. I'll just show this real quick with the crop and rotate. You can just slide the scale up, and you'll see less of the boat. You can also take the scale down, and it'll cause it to go out of the frame. But I want to return that to normal to set it to 100, and there it is. So lower third graphic I was going to show you. We'll probably insert it right about here, about 2 seconds in. So come up here to the titles area, and we'll just need to pick a title to use. So there are many ones that are built into Premiere. I think for this one, we'll probably use, let's scroll down, this orange sherbet left looks good. So to use that title, we just drag it on top above that video, and so when it plays, title comes in. So we can change this up though by double clicking it, going into the titles edit menu, and like that font, I don't really have a problem with that. I do not like the color though. The yellow is kind of, yeah, not a fan. So I need to find the shape that is this background, which is the top shape. Click the color fill area, and let's change it to red. Actually, let's change that to black. And since we're going with the school color theme, we'll go to the other shape, click shadow on it, and change it to red. Maybe a little bit redder, yeah. So that looks good. And now we have a black fill, a white box, and a white, a red shadow. If you wanted to change the shadow on this to match, you could do that also just by going to shadow and clicking that. So we need to insert our actual text in here, so we'll double click again, go back over here to titles, and instead of main title, we want it to have our name. So triple click that, type in our name. I'll do it in all caps. Yes, thanks, Zach. And same thing with subtitle, just triple click it until it's all highlighted, and do all caps because we're old and yelling on the internet. Videography by. Or let's do videography right there. So now whenever it comes on, it comes in like that. If we say, well, that was cool, but I'm a slow reader, which there's nothing wrong with that. Galen Perkins video, and as soon as I start reading videography, it pops off the screen. So to make that longer, just like you make any of these other clips longer, you just grab the edge of it, drag it to the right. Let's make it a good 6 seconds. So we start at 2, we'll line it up here with 8, and now when it comes on, it slides in, it says Galen Perkins videography, and after 6 seconds, it zooms back out. So any questions as of yet? I want to show you a couple more things before we are done with this today. Cool. So another thing you can do is do callouts. So if let's say that this young woman's name right here is let's say Maria, you can come over here and do a call out top right, and we'll put it in, let's see, let's shrink that down just a little bit, and we will actually drag that up to here, and we'll reduce the size a little bit, and to edit that text, same process as before. Just type in, this is Maria, and make it extremely short because she's not on there very long. So, probably want to realign it with where it is. So we have Maria getting on the boat. This is Maria, and then it goes away. So that's another thing that you can use. If you need to do any kind of credits, there is also a credits option, just called classic credits. You can insert those at just the end, and then if you want to change anything in here, you can do that. So I'll call this my vacation BRoll montage. And if I want to go in and edit all this other stuff, I can, and insert the individual actors, I can do that. If there's anything in here I don't want, like say I don't want this entire line, I just highlight it all and delete it. Highlight it all and delete it. So that's just using the delete key on the keyboard. Very simple stuff. Yes, Logan.
Maria thing, can you make it track? Like move with them? And save
I think it just stays in one place. It would need a little more. It would need to be a little more like After Effects in order to do a tracking type thing. But I don't believe it tracks. And he was referring to the callout thing from earlier, just getting this to track across the screen, which I don't think it actually will do. Yeah, you could actually freeze frame it. That's a very good point. Let's see. You could do that. I'm not totally sure how to do that, but it's something I could figure out if we want to do it later on. Any other questions? You delete that real quick. Yeah, no, you're good.
If I did want to make this track using After Effects, and since these are Adobe programs, could I take the image files for that and drag it into After Effects and animate it?
Yeah, you could do that. So you can actually, there's an option in here to, I believe it's share, and you can share it with Premiere. Actually, that's not the process. You can actually, if you're in Adobe Premiere or in After Effects, you can actually take the project file for this and dump it into After Effects and then edit it that way. So, no worries. Anybody else have any more questions? So for your, just kind of to leech over a little bit, in your promo videos, it's going to be a similar sort of thing, but you're going to be, instead of doing a minute-long piece, you're going to be doing a 30-second piece. So if I come here to 30 seconds, just as an example, chop that off, highlight the rest of this stuff, and delete it to get rid of it. So here I am with a 30-second piece. If I want to add music, there is music available in here. Let me just drag a cross dissolve to the end of this so it goes in. So audio, you can come over here to the plus area and add media. So here is one called Dreamland. There is also other stuff outside of sample media. If you want to bring in something from YouTube, you can do that. But let's just bring this Dreamland one in. So add it. From the plus menu, we'll close that add menu. Come to the end of our project where we hit 30 seconds. Cut it. Highlight that and cut it. And then now we have music that runs the length of our thing. So play it. I'm not sure how much of that is coming through on the recording, but yeah, that's how you would add music to a project. And then if you need to add any additional graphics, like a full screen graphic, you would come up here again to titles. You would just find a template for the one that you're wanting to use. So let's go with this one. Drag it over the top, and just rename the title of this to Sailing in French Polynesia. And actually, meant to do that in all caps. Sailing in, and space down, French Polynesia. I think that's how that's spelled. Anyway, so once you get that done, you can just single click it and drag it around to center it up on the screen. So that looks good right about there. Instead of the purple bar, I want to do a yellow bar. So instead of a outline in purple, I'm going to do yellow. Sounds good. Yep, and so now when it comes on, it'll animate on the same way as before. Sailing in French Polynesia, and then when it's done, it'll animate out again. So there are also additional templates that you can use inside of Adobe Stock if you want to do that. That's entirely up to you. And there are other title styles too. And if you're presented with that window, you can just sync fonts with your Adobe account. So, let's call this day 1. And the reef. So now we've got our sailing in French Polynesia, and then we've got our next graphic that pops in, day 1, the reef. So, any other questions? Cool. So I'll stop this recording real quick.